Hi, my name is Adam Shoemaker, and I'm rector here at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina, here for another edition of Rector's Corner. And I'm happy to have with me today St. Stephen's Verger Mike Shewan. And Mike, I'll just start off by asking you to describe the role of a verger as you understand it.
Well, thank you, Adam. It's always great to see you, and I guess talk to all the people in the congregation. When you first asked me to do this, it dawned on me a lot of people don't really know what a verger's job is. Not every Episcopal church has them, and through the whole Catholic Church does not have that kind of a position. To make it kind of secular in a way, I think it describes it the best. I think of myself as a stage manager, or some people say a producer, where I'm there on Sunday morning to start the performance, making sure that all the items are in their proper places, all the books are marked as they should be, all the people are there, they know what they're going to do and when they're going to do it, and if they're acolytes, they're in their proper attire. It's really, again, people. I love people, so it's a very people-oriented job, I think. I enjoyed seeing them, talking to them, and just maybe sometimes calming them down for whatever reason. For they may be a little shy getting up front, but hey, we're right there behind them and it all works out. And of course, there is that once in a while when someone doesn't show up, or I had one crucifer suddenly get sick and walk out the door, that I will then take over their spot and fill it in as best I can. The part that I have nothing to do with is the liturgy. That's your job. And not being the most liturgical person that ever walks the face of the earth, I'm very glad I don't have that responsibility. I tease Adam quite often that the vergers believe that when he's vested and I'm vested, I am his servant. Now, I didn't know that when I first signed up. I've gotten used to it, and it has humbled me a few times. But that's the way, and it works out perfectly that way when you think about it. It is Adam's show. It is his direction. And if there's something that happens in the middle of it all, even if it's against the Book of Common Prayer, we as vergers are told we are to follow our rector and do as he says. Later, we can talk in private that we didn't think that was such a hot idea. But anyway, I've never been steered wrong. And as you all know, we have a great rector. And actually, the fact that I couldn't do this for someone I didn't respect very highly. So it works out well.
Well, I'll tell you, Mike, that you said not every church has a verger. I've been fortunate to have a verger in all the three different congregations that I've worked in. And in every one of those situations, the verger has been so helpful to the clergy, because the verger works in conjunction with the clergy and can do different things in different places in keeping with the rector's vision for worship. But I often find that a verger can allow the clergy to prepare for worship and enter into worship more fully, because they know that there's somebody else trying to manage all of those logistics. I know, Mike, that you have gone through the training program for the National Guild of the Vergers of the Episcopal Church, a guild that is comprised of vergers in churches and cathedrals in every diocese of the church. And I know that you've at least been to one of the Verger Guild's national gatherings. I wonder what you've learned in those gatherings about the way in which a verger's role can differ depending on the context.
Probably that's the key word. Yes, I have only been able to attend one. The next conference was canceled because of the COVID last year. I'm not sure if we're going to, it would be in October. It's in the fall of the year. It was quite an experience to meet all of these people. I did find I have a very good friend now. She's in San Francisco, goes to Grace Cathedral there, and another good friend who's down in Texas. We talk all the time. I think the biggest thing that I came away with that is that we all have a very different role in the church. Depending upon the church we're in, some have up to 8 to 9 vergers, and they, even in one service, the procession can have 4 or 5 vergers. As we saw during the royal weddings, they're spaced out. I guess they're assigned their certain group that's behind them and making sure they're all following orders and rules. There is a whole section of verging that doesn't happen on Sundays necessarily. And that's when we unfortunately have a funeral or joyfully have a baptism. I do attend a lot of the family meetings prior. And the main reason is, once again, not to put my 2 cents in on how the funeral should go or the baptism, but to meet the family members. So when that day comes, I know who they are. I know where they're supposed to be sitting. It's not there a lot of times there are a lot of people that we have never met before because the family members aren't necessarily St. Stephen members. So it's been great to get. It's a way of helping smooth the waters and make this performance, or we call it church service, as smooth and as seamless. And I think when that happens, I still think people go away, well, maybe not the funeral, happier. Although at funerals, I have started to talk to the family, and I don't know if it's good or bad, God will tell me someday, and gotten them laughing. And I said, I am so sorry. I promise I'll be very reverent when the service starts. And the whole family said, oh, no, stay just as you are. So I've always thought humor with people is I think my biggest gift I can give to someone. And I love it in return.
Well, and one role of a parish verger is a ministry of hospitality. Vergers work with ushers often. When we have in-person church, they're often seeing people come in, seeing people come through the door. And I think it is an important part of a verger's role to not only be mindful of the more performative aspects of the liturgy, but also the people who are walking through the door. But the role can certainly vary depending on the church, depending on the space, depending on the rector, or even the bishop. If you're talking about a cathedral, there can be a variety of roles. I wonder, though, if you can talk to me a little bit about how COVID has changed your role. This has been a question I've found myself asking many of the people I've interviewed during this Rector's Corner, because COVID has certainly been an upending reality for us. It certainly meant a great deal of change in the way we've gone about being the church. What have you been doing during this time of COVID?
Well, you're right. I mean, it has turned over many of our lives, and especially the church life, because our Sunday service was kind of what I would say our holy grail. It's what we all came to do, and we are very much a church that loves to get together, and we've lost that. So that is a sadness that does fall upon one person. As far as my role during the service, where I would orchestrate who's coming where, when, and how, we now have Andrea McKellar, our very talented videographer, who takes the various videos from the various people and puts them all together in the proper order and make sure they're saying the proper readings. She does a beautiful job, and I know most of you have seen our Sunday services, and we get praised from everywhere around the country of how well they are. One thing, I get to sleep in on Sundays, but other than that, I do miss the people. We are doing handouts wafers on the third Sunday for Eucharist on the third Sunday of the month. So they're in little plastic containers and done with gloves and masks. And it's such a great pleasure to see the people drive by in their cars and say hey and hand them their wafer for the coming Sunday. Also, we've done some remote services. There have been, I think, 3 baptisms, about to be a 4th, and an ordination. Now, the ordination was quite the production, keeping in mind that normally when it's done in the church, everything you have need is right there sitting in the church, where in these more remote ones, Bowen's Island or even the Memorial Garden, you have to haul the stuff out there, set it up, and then haul it back in and pray the weather isn't going to destroy everything in the meantime. But it's, again, we talked about this in a staff meeting. This video, I think we're all tired of the video Zoomings, but I think we get to know each other a bit closer. I get to see you in your office. You get to see me in my house. And this is true of all of us. And when people do readings, they're in their homes and they're close up and personal. If you're sitting in the back of the church, you don't see them blink or whatever while they're reading. But and also we've gotten other participants that normally wouldn't because of their uncomfortableness of standing in front of people, but don't have a problem doing a video of it, and mainly because you can redo it. Like we might have to do some of this one to make it even better. But COVID, can't wait till it's over. I'm sure. I know we all are.
Yeah.
And
no, go ahead.
I'm just going to say the other part, I've been busy with more of the physical building, which is something that I need to know anyway, where things are, how they are in an emergency, where's the fire extinguisher, such and such. And we're working on getting better security. We're working on a renovation project. And I get involved in these things partially because of my real lifetime job, but also because it lends itself, because I can be there on a moment's notice, unlock the doors, talk to the people, tell them where things are located. But other than that, I did get my shot yesterday. So I'm one vaccine down. I only got to get another one, and then I'll be hopefully COVID free.
That's great. Well, yeah, I mean, I certainly have seen you do a little bit of everything during COVID as a supportive member of our staff, but we are increasingly experimenting with trying to do more outdoor services of worship in the garden that I think have gone very well. And Mike, very helpful, sort of plotting out the distance between seats out there and making sure in coordination with the ushers that people know what they need to do to stay safe as they come for worship. I wonder, Mike, you've been Verger, I think, for nearly 3 years now. Is that right? Is that?
I started when you started. So yeah. How long have you been here?
So closer to 4 years now. I'll be at 4 years this summer.
And you put up with me for all that time.
You're a full member of our staff. It really is a ministry that you have taken on with passion. I wonder if you could just reflect briefly on what the meaning of the role is for you. How does this role feed you and bring you joy?
Well, when I first took this role, you even mentioned about how do you get your own spirituality during a service, because your concentration is a bit on who's coming next. Is the crude of wine in the back? Is the pattern of wafers in the back? How many people are in the church? Do we have enough extra in the ombre? These things are all playing through your mind as the service is going on. I probably have always been that way, even if before I was a Verger, when the service was going on, my mind wasn't totally focused on the service. But again, it goes back to the people, how much I just adore them all. I mean, we have a diverse group of people, and it's just fascinating that how close and comfortable we can be with each other, how we can speak openly, how we can tell them our troubles, tell them our thoughts, tell them our good times, our bad times. And we meet for your dinners. I mean, it's incredible how many bottles of wine they can go. No, how many good times you can have with these people. And that's what I really miss the most at this point in time. It's that we don't get to see each other every day. And when we do, we can't even go up and give each other a big hug. You kind of got to smile. And
well, to be sure, when we are able to be back in person fully in the church, whenever that first service is, I'm sure it will feel like Easter Sunday. And will be a great joy. But Mike, it's a joy to have you on our staff as Verger, and and your faithfulness and your dedication to the role is a blessing to us all. So thank you so much, and thank you for taking this time to speak with me about the role of a verger.
Because you know, talking isn't my big suit.
For those listening in, thank you. We'll be back in a couple of weeks for another edition of Rector's Corner. In the meantime, be safe, be well, wear your mask, and you keep the faith. Bye-bye.